I need to drink a lot of water for clear skin. I need to drink a lot of water for my brain. Yes, you should be drinking a lot of water.
I had acne. What I did to fix all this was what you guys always hear, and what you probably don't like to hear, the easy solutions. Actually being hydrated, fixing your diet, lowering your stress. And there's a bonus. What does hydration actually mean? It does not mean that for 2 days you drink 3 or 4 of these little 16-ounce plastic water bottles and you think that you're full of water. It's not. It means every day of your life you have a water bottle on you and you're sipping it constantly. Not when you're thirsty. Everywhere you go, you're drinking water.
Raise your hand if you have already tried this, but you just kept on breaking out, and now you're going to the bathroom 10 times a day, your piss turned white, which can show that you're drinking too much water, which causes your electrolyte concentration to lower in your blood, things like sodium, potassium, magnesium, which are all key for fluid distribution and cell function, which allows you to create the best metabolic water, which is what hydrates your cells. This is why primitive tribes like the Hadza don't carry a bottle of water, yet none of them have acne, and during dry season they can go multiple days without drinking water, yet they maintain clear skin and peak health. And so in this guide I'm gonna walk you through everything you need to know about water and hydration to achieve clear skin like I have and my clients. We are about to go through the hidden link between water, energy, clear skin, good digestion, good sleep, good muscle recovery, good testosterone production. Literally anything you can imagine is going to be correlated to a good foundation on your water. And what do I mean by your water? You need to understand you are literally made out of water. 75% of you when you are born is water, and as you develop into a man, right now you are 60% of water. And water makes up more than 95% of all molecules in your human body. So just like that, if you have healthy water inside of you, you will most likely be healthy since you are made out of so much water. And so healthy water equals healthy body. And to put this into a better perspective, water is what enables life to exist. It's like when you look into the space, you see all these stars, all these planets, but you would not be able to see these planets and stars if there was no space. You know, if there wasn't emptiness around these stars, around these planets, you could not see them. If only it was light everywhere, you could not see the stars. It's because there's emptiness around it that you can see the stars. And it's the same with water. Water is like the emptiness, and we are only able to see life because there is water, man. And so just like that, you are kind of like a cup of water, literally, because look at this, 75% of your brain is water. Blood, 83%. And you get my point, man. So you are no different, you are pretty much no different than a cup of water. And so if the water in a cup is unhealthy, and you're drinking that goddamn water, guess what's gonna happen to you? If the water is stagnant, it's getting mold everywhere, it's getting microplastics, heavy metals, EMFs, it's not getting light, it's under artificial light, all that stuff. The water is going to be disgusting. If you're doing the same habits that make the water disgusting, guess what? You're going to become a subhuman. You're going to become unhealthy. Same logic there. So whatever affects water affects you. You have healthy spring water, which is grounded, away from EMF, it's in the nature, it's in the sun, no pollution. And just like that, you then have tap water, you have chloride in it, all these chemicals, you have birth control hormones that turn the frogs gay, you know. You have low mineral content, you have fluoride, no sun, EMFs around the water, just like that. Have you ever tasted tap water and it tastes so bad? Like I literally heard my mom say this, and she advocates to drink tap water. She said this tastes like laundry detergent, and she spitted it out. But she keeps doing it. She keeps drinking, and so just like that, man, we can learn a lot by water because we are made out of water, and so we are healthy in the environment which is most adapted to life. An environment where water is healthy equals 95% of our molecules will be healthy too. And so, water with minerals together help regulate the electromagnetic properties of cells and bodily processes, while light provides signals that guide how energy is used efficiently. So we're gonna get more in depth into this, but you just need to understand in general that if the water around you is healthy, like you live in an environment that has good and healthy water, you will most likely be healthy. Now, if you live in a desert area where naturally there isn't supposed to be life in there, you don't see any animals, you don't see plants, most likely it's not a good environment for you to live in. And so a lot of the information we're going to cover here is based on the studies of Gilbert Wink, which was the biggest man behind the MRI machine, which is a machine that utilizes the magnetic properties of hydrogen protons in body water. So through magnetic fields, it aligns these protons, and radio frequency pulses disrupt them, which creates these spins of resonance. And then as the protons relax back to alignment to their normal spot, this allows us to have an image, for example, of the brain. And so just like that, Gilbert Wink was the biggest man behind the discovery of easy water, which is a structured gel-like four-phase of water that forms near hydrophilic surfaces. It carries a negative charge, stores energy like a battery, and is more viscous and ordered than liquid water. It is crucial for cellular functioning, hydration, and detoxification, often created via light and heat. So essentially, what does this mean? So you know how we have three stages of water. We have the liquid form that we can drink, we have the solid form, which is like ice, and we have the gas form, which is the water evaporates. But then we have like a fourth phase, which is when you have gelatin. Gelatin isn't liquid, like you stab it with a knife and it doesn't spill water, but it's also not solid. It's not like it's ice, rock solid. So it's that fourth phase. It's like a gel form. And it's the same thing in your body. You have your water kind of stored as gel. Otherwise, you would cut yourself and you would start spilling a bunch of water. But that doesn't happen. And so, just like that, we can see here easy water, which is going to be more dense, higher pH, less hydrogen, negatively charged, as you can see here, and more electrons, more oxygen. So this is important to cover because the healthier people have a better net negative charge. So people who are healthier, they tend to have more easy water, more negative charge here. And we're going to cover that. So easy water forms next to hydrophilic surfaces and is influenced by infrared energy, including heat and sunlight. Cells are largely composed of easy water and electrolytes. So as you can see, cells are largely composed of easy water. So it's important that you have healthy easy water. And research suggests that infrared wavelengths around 3000 nanometers is the best light in terms of formatting the structured water. And just like that, UV increases negative zone water. So essentially, it's working like a battery, where from the UV light, you are literally able to get energy in your body. And the more negative zone, the higher the easy water, the more easy water you have against your membranes, the more electrical energy your cells have to do work. So just like a battery, you're getting energy and it's charging up. And so literally, UV give us energy. And just like that, this is something you don't see a lot in the most common health space. And most people focus on the food. But just like that, you can literally get energy from the sun. And for example, grounding supports electron balance in the body, and UV exposure can stimulate nitric oxide production, which helps improve blood flow. So by grounding, by putting your feet on the earth, it's going to help with stabilizing magnetic properties in your body because your body uses magnetism. And so you need to be connected with the magnetism of the earth. And why is this super important? We're going to talk right now about redox. Redox, let's separate the word. It's reduction. So given an electron, that's what it means. And oxidation gives an electron. So you can see this image. We have here oxidation. It releases an electron. And reduction, it accepts an electron. Okay, and Antioxidants. These are important that we go over so you can understand better what we're going to talk. Antioxidants prevent oxidation because they can donate electrons to the thing that is oxidized. So it's saving it from taking it to something else which causes harm. So just like that, you have a free radical, which is this damage thing right here, and the antioxidant pretty much gives an electron to prevent this stuff to go and take from other cells, which will damage and cause harm, which is why antioxidants is important. And so where do electrons come from? Because it seems like it's super healthy, like we're able to give out electrons and eliminate the free radicals. We need electrons, right? Where do they come from? So the body gets electrons from food. Electrons flow through the electron transport chain, and this produces ATP, which is the energy the cells use. And so just like that, why do people, do these big discussions of like, you should eat this, you should eat a carnivore diet, high fat, and then some others tell you, eat carbs, eat carbs. Just like that, I'm going to prove it to you how fat is way superior. Because fats are more electron rich than carbohydrates. They can generate more ATP per molecule. And they can also produce more metabolic water, which I'll explain in a second. So fat is going to be way superior than carbs because it literally has more electrons. It will help with this antioxidant process. And now let's cover what is metabolic water. Metabolic water is water that is produced inside your body during energy production. So you get oxygen that you breathe, you eat food, you get electrons and protons from the food, and therefore you get water. And just like that, this is metabolic water that your mitochondria literally creates. And so we have two types of water. We have the endogenous, which is the water you drink, and we have the endogenous, which is the metabolic water. And so external hydration, which is going to be the bulk source, as you saw in the image, is going to be this one right here, the bulk one. This is the water we drink, and this comes from 80% of water we drink, liquids, 20% from food. And just like that, this water is mainly for blood volume and flushes out toxins. So you see those people telling you drink 8 cups of water. That's wrong advice. That's not really good because and we're gonna get into this. Main hydration comes from the metabolic water, not necessarily from the water you drink, because the water you drink is mainly just going to be for the blood volume and to flush out some toxins. And that's why if you drink too much, you're literally gonna be peeing it. You're not even using it. And then we have internal hydration, which is this metabolic water. It is the purest form of water the body can access. It is deuterium depleted, perfectly pH balanced for the internal cellular environment. No microplastics, no fluoride, no chloride. Just like that, this is the water we produce after the electron transport chain. As you can see, we have multiple complexes, and then in the fourth complex, you can see it is created water right here. And just like that, this is going to be the purest form of water. And so why focus so much on like the water you drink if you have access to the best water in the world that your body literally creates? So if we focus on getting the best and more perfect water that our body creates, metabolic water, that's going to be actually better for us. It's going to be the one thing that's going to take our health to the next level. And now here to just separate metabolic versus easy water, they are not the same thing, okay? Metabolic water is about how your body makes water, while easy water is a theory about how water behaves once it's inside your tissues. And so just like that, the metabolic water is burned by the electron transport chain as I showed you, and the easy water is by water's contact with surfaces and light. And it is said, like if you see, this is a table I got from ChatGPT to literally show you this. It says here controversial theory. So just like that, this is not a theory that's accepted by standard biology. Why is that, you might ask? And I don't want to get into conspiracy theories here, but why do you think they don't want us to know that, the sun, the light, literally is able to get us energy due to the water, the easy water? Because the easy water acts as a battery. Why don't you think they want us to know this? Maybe it's because they promote so much that the sun is unhealthy. We should be inside all day. Don't go outside. Wear sunscreen. And the sun is so bad for you. Man, if they suddenly said to you, oh, you actually need sunlight, it can help you to get energy in your body, maybe it's even more important than the food you eat, the energy you're getting from the food. You can actually reduce the amount of calories you eat and get more sunlight, and therefore you get more energy without eating, which ages you. Every time you spike your insulin, you're aging. So just like that, by you reducing the calories you eat, but by getting sunlight, you're getting the same amount of energy, but aging less due to the due to not eating. And just like that, do you think they want us to know this information? Do you think they want to promote us to live outside a healthy lifestyle where we're happy, we're not inside all day in an office under artificial light working all day? That would collapse the goddamn world if people knew this information. Because 99% of people live inside working a 9 to 5 job, and they go outside, they put sunscreen, all that nonsense. Just like that, they want you more worried about the food that's in your plate than the actual bite that is touching all over your skin, which is influencing every single process in your body. And that's why no matter how healthy you try to eat, you can still get messed up. And so just like that, how to charge cellular water. So sunlight and full spectrum light, like infrared and red light wavelengths, physically expand the exclusion zone in cellular water. Then mitochondrial light, which is the light that the mitochondria literally creates, our own engines, emit ultra-weak biophotons that help maintain the water structure from the inside out. Then cold exposure, thermogenesis increases infrared output within the body, further charging the cellular battery. So just like that, these are the three main things to charge the cellular water. It's going to be getting sunlight and cold exposure and having a good mitochondria. So just like that, charging water means separating charges. So you are separating the plus from the minus, and this effectively creates a pool of available electrons. And a higher net negative charge, you have more electrons than protons, that's what it means, the higher redox you have. And the higher redox means the higher energy you have stored to fight inflammation, repair DNA, and power your metabolism. So the ideal, the net negative charge should be 70 to 90 millivolts. And so just like that, we're gonna get into this, man. You want to have a higher redox. And you see people who eat junk food and they go out, they eat McDonald's, maybe they go to parties, they are under artificial light, they're drinking alcohol, they're doing all these bad habits, but somehow they seem so much healthier than you. They have clear skin, they don't seem to have brain fog, no energy issues. It's so weird, right? That's because they have a higher redox. And this can come from genetics. They can also come from like past habits when they were children that they weren't even aware that they were doing the right things. It can come from many factors. But just like that, the higher the redox you have, the higher chance you can get away from like small little bad habits. Like you can eat some junk food and not get acne from it if you have a higher redox. And this is what we need to focus to fully get clear skin, because a lot of people will tell you to just go on a, raw meat carnivore, which eliminates pretty much all the triggers which can cause you acne. But then what? You're constrained all your life. You can never eat, some fruit again or something like that. And even on a raw carnivore diet, you can still have a lot of issues. If your mite environment is messed up, EMF, you can still get acne from all those things if your mitochondria is messed up. So here is how you measure your redox potential. So right now, let's see if you have a good redox or not. So low libido or loss of libido, erectile dysfunction. You can't ejaculate properly. It's not a big quantity you ejaculate. This equals in the signs of a low redox potential. Then the quality of your hair, your nails, and skin, if they are bad, you can expect to have a leaky gut and leaky hairways, leading to respiratory issues when the redox potential dips lower. So if you have a bad redox, you will most likely also have bad breathing patterns. And a thing I noticed really well on my fingers, like right here on top of my fingers, I used to always have skin coming out, and it was very weird. Why is this happening to me? And it always used to be red and pop out the skin and get dry. It's so weird. And I noticed the more healthier I got, the least this problem happened. And just like that, it was a clear sign of bad redox. I struggled deep with this, man. I had the, lack of libido, lack of waking up with morning wood, gut issues like acid reflux, brain fog, acne everywhere. Literally, all the issues you can imagine, it's gonna come from a low redox because everything is connected. And so, just like that, it's so much easier to fix everything if you just focus on fixing your redox. And we're gonna get into that. For example, if you have cataracts, this is a big clue that your redox potential is low and your lifestyle is blue light toxic. Then, if you're spilling protein in your urine, which I did some blood tests and my urine was high in protein, which is not a good thing. I used to think, oh, this is good. That means I'm eating a lot of protein. But no, it's not good. Or you have memory loss, confusion, forget your words easily. This is also going to be from a low redox. Then your BAN and creatinine ratio is critical in this test to see if you have a low or good redox. When it is high, it indicates that your proteins and mitochondria lack reverse water micelles that facilitate energy transfer, which reduces the energy efficiency, which essentially what's going to come down to redox is having good energy efficiency and the energy stored to fight the inflammation. This ruins the zero entropy systems and causes you to have to make more ATP to open water binding sites on proteins. When ATP generation is low, you will crave carbs to offset this loss. There is also a clue that your redox is off. So if you're doing a carnivore diet, for example, and you crave carbs, this is a sign that your redox is low. And this is why we see so many people that have that carnivore full of like, having lack of energy, they can't build muscle, they lose muscle, all that stuff. It comes down from a low redox. They never fix the root cause. Once again, they just try to hide it. All we see in these modern health advice is just trying to hide symptoms, hide symptoms. You go to the dermatologist, they give you Accutane. Guess what? It just hides the symptoms. You stop taking it, you get acne back. You put skincare, it's hiding the symptoms. Then you do elimination diet, carnivore, raw meat diet, it's still hiding the problem. It was never fixed. And so just like that, we need to fix it, man. Now more science stuff that you need to do blood work to actually tell if you have a high redox or not, which I help all my clients to analyze their blood work and see if they're actually good in this or not. So for example, when LDL cholesterol goes below 200, your redox potential is usually low, and this is a sign that you are likely lacking the ability to store infrared spectrum light within your cells and water micelles. Cholesterol is a power molecule designed to be surrounded by water and energized by its ability to transfer electrons to the cholesterol. It, if it is not in a state of reduction, cholesterol can open the doors to hell inside your circulatory system. When your redox potential is high, DHA is high, and cholesterol becomes a life-saving protein. So essentially, cholesterol, you hear it, it's such a bad thing. Yes, cholesterol will be a bad thing if your redox is bad. That's essentially what happens. If your redox is good, cholesterol will be literally a superpower. It helps you to increase your testosterone and so much more. Then there are other metrics to see if you have a good redox or not, but these are more advanced and require blood tests, saliva tests. So if you want help with this, DM me on Instagram or book a call in the description and we'll get that sorted. But then a more simple metric is dreaming. Dreaming is usually a good sign of redox. So if you don't remember your dreams, if you feel like you didn't dream, most likely that's bad redox. Perhaps your dream you just don't remember. And practicing lucid dreaming is definitely a good thing to have good dream recall and make sure you have dreams and not a bad redox problem. Then another test that you can do, which was done by dentists, is using an electric pulp test, using this thing right here that is placed on the tooth and along with conducting paste. And so usually the patient's saliva or toothpaste acts as an electric conductor. The electric current is gradually increased until the patient signals a sensation, a sign of discomfort in the teeth. And so a low potential of redox tells us that this is pretty good if the sensation is consistent on every tooth. If you suddenly have like a strong sensation on one tooth, it means that you probably can have a low redox. Then if you don't want to take this route, which is can be expensive, what you can do is just pick a simple lemon, squeeze it in your mouth, and if you suddenly start producing a lot of saliva, this can mean you have low redox. Now, you don't want to do this if you have dental issues, because this can just confuse you even more. So don't do it. But it's a good test to do just using a lemon. And if you don't have dental issues, okay? Then more advanced stuff, really more advanced, is doing a MRI and paying attention to these metrics right here. Now let's talk about how to improve your redox, which is really the most important thing. So you need to pay attention to sunsets and the sunrise and avoid artificial light at night and dim light. So even the smallest light can cause an effect on your circadian rhythm, which is going to affect your redox. And the brighter the light, the worse it's going to be. So you need to have good circadian rhythm. Then you need to eat a lot of DHA. So the quality of the collagen in your body is directly tied to your redox. And DHA is going to help you to improve your redox. And just like that, collagen is the main thing for clear skin. You know, collagen and fat is mainly what your skin is made out of. So if you have bad redox, you will have bad collagen. And so DHA, which is going to come from high quality fish, okay? If you can't get fresh local fish, you can then do some farm fish, and then below farm fish, you can do canned fish. But really, you should be getting that DHA. Even if it's from canned fish, if you don't have the resources, go do it, man. Go eat some canned sardines. Every morning, I eat some of it. So just like that, you need to get DHA. It's very important. And this is something you don't hear about in the health space. Like all you hear is people telling you to eat a lot of meat, eat meat, red meat, increase testosterone. Nobody talks about how important DHA is, which is really important for clear skin. Maybe more important than meat, to be honest with you. Then, because DHA is also going to protect you from EMFs, then we have a low deuterium diet, which we're gonna get into what is deuterium and how to follow this diet. Then the grounding is also very important due to being aligned with the magnetic field of the earth. Then being in the sun, avoiding EMF, entering ketosis, which improves your redox potential. So this is gonna be mainly from fasting and doing a low carb diet, doing entering ketosis here. Then we have exercise and lowering stress. Pretty basic. So just like that, this is why people constantly talk about doing exercise, eating fish. Our parents always told us that. Then being in the sun. This is why, because it improves your redox, therefore makes you healthier. Then more advanced stuff to really improve your redox. If you are having really big issues with your redox, how to take it to the next level. We have Meyer cocktails, HBO therapy, infrared therapy. All of this will improve your redox. Then we have cold thermogenesis, which improves your redox potential. So essentially, doing cold showers, cold plunges, going in the ocean in the winter, because it improves the flow of electrons on the surface of water and proteins without any energy costs. So as I mentioned with the easy water, with the sunlight and with cold plunges, you can create energy between inside of your body without the energy costs of, for example, eating, where you have to digest. It takes a lot of energy to digest the food. Here it doesn't. This is why this information is gate kept, man. Then we have the Fourier effect, which is using warm and cold water. It is a great way to recharge a low redox potential, which is essentially doing rounds of like cold and then hot and then cold and hot. You do those sort of rounds. Then you have magnetico sleep pad, which is essentially a sleeping pad that you use, which allows you to avoid EMF as you're sleeping and be grounded. Now, you must pay attention to your potassium levels also to make sure you have good redox. And if you want to know more the science stuff behind this, you can read this right here so you know why it's important. So you gotta make sure you're having good potassium levels. If you do blood work and it's low, you gotta fix it. Okay, let's actually recap a bit of what we went over so that we can actually move forward into more actionable steps. So, life, right now I am alive. You are alive. The plants are alive. The animals. Why is that? Because there is movement of energy. Energy in and energy dissipating. That's what's happening. You're getting energy in your body and it's also coming out. That's what dictates life. When somebody dies, they no longer have energy inside of them. Energy isn't coming in anymore, and it's just dissipating. The body is dissipating. The energy is going to the floor until there's no more energy. So essentially, we have here light, which charges water, charges the battery. So water is the battery, and then we have magnetism, which is additional charging. It's also charging the battery, the water, and helps with the movement of electrons and protons and builds exclusion on water. So easy water. And then, just like that, light and magnetism are the energy sources and information to the body. And so they help with electron and proton movement. They build exclusion zone on water, man. And so this is why people focus so much on food, man. Food, 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 food. But they don't understand that food is just mass. Food provides mass that is transformed into protons and electrons and electromagnetic energy, including infrared radiation produced by the mitochondria. So you eat this food, which is converted into protons and electrons, and you are able to get these electrons from the light, from magnetism. So just like that, it's gonna have a similar effect. It's gonna give you energy and also information to the body on the right processes to do. And so what effect do radio frequencies have on easy water? Radio frequencies diminish easy water. And from just a Google search, the AI which we confirm this right here. And so you should be avoiding EMF, RF, of course, which is coming from your phones, cell phone towers. When you plug in something in the charger, it's also going to be affecting you. You should be avoiding it. And so, if you want to know more in depth on what exactly is easy water, you can watch this podcast, this conference of Gerald H. Pollock, which he really goes more in depth in this science stuff behind what is easy water. Okay, see you in the next model. We're gonna fix your deuterium issues, which are affecting your mitochondria and causing you energy deficiencies, which cause you skin issues, brain fog, low energy. Next module will solve that. Now let's talk about deuterium. What is deuterium and what impacts can this have on your health? Not only that, but we'll also go over how to optimize your metabolic water to the fullest, because it's literally the best water source your own body can have, since it's the body that produces it. It's going to be deuterium depleted, the right pH, no hormone disruptors in there, no microplastics, no heavy metals. It's gonna be pure water. So we'll talk about how to optimize that. So before we get into more in-depth stuff, it's important that you watch this video right here that is from Harvard on the electron transport chain. This way you'll understand what are the four complexes inside this electron transport chain, and you'll understand also the hydrogen spinning gun, which will allow you to understand how the mitochondria works, which is very important to understand this. But if you don't want to get into this biochemistry stuff, you don't really care too much, you can just keep watching. But if you really want to understand like the science stuff behind this, then yes, it's important you watch this. But just keep in mind, if you're not going to watch this, just keep in mind that atoms are protons and neutrons and electrons spinning around the protons and neutrons. And usually, the more protons and neutrons, the more electrons spinning around. Okay, just keep this in mind so you understand what is in here. Okay, so here we have hydrogen basically shown. So we have three types of hydrogen. We have protium, which is going to be the same as hydrogen. Then we have deuterium, and then we have tritium. Tritium, you don't gotta worry about this because this is radioactive, so you're not gonna find this in nature naturally. So you don't gotta worry about this. But just understand here that deuterium has one neutron more than hydrogen. So hydrogen has one proton, zero neutrons, one electron, while deuterium has one proton, one neutron, one electron. So it is twice as heavier than normal hydrogen. And hydrogen is 99.98% of all hydrogen in our body. So you just gotta keep this in mind, is that deuterium is twice as heavier than hydrogen. Okay, keep that in mind. And so now with this in mind, I want you to understand this analogy. It's like, imagine there's a fat dude on an airplane, okay? And this fat dude, suddenly there's an emergency, everybody has to run. This fat dude just clogs the goddamn door, man. Or he's just stuck in the hallway, like he's just stuck here. Is this gonna help everybody to exit and have more safety? Or is this not helping? Of course it's not helping, because the dude is fat, he's blocking everything. And so this is literally how it works with deuterium. Okay, deuterium is gonna be blocking in excess the electron transport chain. Now I'm not gonna say deuterium is the worst thing in the world because deuterium is needed. Okay, deuterium contributes to stability. Since it is a heavier form of hydrogen, it may enhance the structural stability of molecules like collagen. So, for example, the oxtail of a cow is lower in deuterium than the food due to the collagen in there. The the food has more collagen than the oxtail, so it's gonna have more deuterium in there. And just like that, this is the importance of deuterium. Okay, the mitochondria doesn't like it, but it needs it to some degree. For example, the cytoplasm needs it, and the mitochondria is in the cytoplasm. But the deuterium necessarily inside the mitochondria isn't good. And so let's talk about how deuterium is founded in our day to day. Like, how does that work? So deuterium is higher in Ecuador and lower as you go up or down. So in the Ecuador, you see here, like the Ecuador line is around here. This is gonna be higher in deuterium, these regions. As you go up, like you go to Sweden, it's gonna be a lot lower. You go down, it's also lower. So in the Ecuador, the deuterium is higher. And also inland, like over here in Kansas, Nebraska, it's gonna be lower in deuterium than in the coast. So California is gonna be higher in deuterium. This is because the deuterium is heavier. So when the water evaporates, it's in the sky. The deuterium is gonna fall first since it's heavier. Okay, and then higher altitudes is gonna also mean more depleted water, like volcanoes or mountains, because since the deuterium is heavier, it's gonna be harder for it to reach there. So the perfect spot to find depleted water is going to be in the middle of Canada, where an altitude above 53, and you go 1,000 to 2,000 meters up, and you drink their river water. That is going to be around 60 to 90 million parts of deuterium. I'll explain in a second how this measurement works. But just like that, if you want the best natural deuterium depleted water, you go to this spot right here. Okay, so here are the side effects of high deuterium. Brain fog. More deuterium in the cytoplasm in the cells of the brain. This can be one factor of the brain fog, where it's coming from. Then heart disease, where more deuterium in the cells in the heart and circulatory system, so the cells lack energy efficiency. As we went over, the brain and the heart are the organs which need the most energy. If there's energy deficiency, those are gonna be the biggest organs affected. Then, in general, the mitochondrial dysfunction makes you higher in deuterium in the cells, because you won't be able to clear out the deuterium, and you also will not make deuterium depleted water. So it has a snowball effect. If you have a mitochondrial dysfunction, you can't get rid of the deuterium, but you also can't produce water that is depleted in deuterium, the metabolic water. So it's really important that we fix this. And so more deuterium in the cells, man, it can literally mean more cell division. And more cell division, it can lead to the C's disease. I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. It's written here. So people with this disease, their citric acid cycle, the TCA cycle, Krebs cycle, that isn't working, and that it's needed to create deuterium depleted water. So the mitochondria doesn't have this deuterium depleted water. And so these patients, it has been shown that this was a real study done, man. And these patients, they drank the deuterium depleted water, and the tumors regressed. So they lived longer. And the mitochondria works again because he has the deuterium depleted water, which he didn't have access to due to these systems being off. And then you no longer have infinite cell division, but they did had to keep drinking it for life, or they died after 2 years because they just went back to these systems not working, so they died. And so if you know somebody with this disease right here, man, please let them know of this. Okay, this might save their lives. Then mitochondria makes water. This water is going to be based on what we eat, how healthy the mitochondria is, what kind of light we are under, because it's going to be giving information to the mitochondria. And so, for example, if you are eating fat and doing really well, you will create around 180 to 120 pm per minute water depleted metabolic water, which is really good. And so people who are eating a primal diet, high fat, and they feel amazing with it, this is most likely what's happening. And you need to understand, in a natural environment, you have low deuterium levels, okay? Because the sun balances it out. Like if you live close to the equator, because you have a lot more sun, your body is able to get rid of that deuterium a lot easier. Now, if you're in Sweden, for example, up there, and you're eating a high deuterium diet, like you're eating bananas and coconuts from the tropics, which doesn't make sense because naturally you would not have access to those. They have high amounts of deuterium. So you're gonna be up there with high deuterium, and you don't have the environment to deplete that deuterium. That's where issues appear. And so artificial light equals high deuterium levels. It's a measuring tool on how well your mitochondria is working and how you're doing metabolically. Deuterium slows down the ATP synthesis molecular motor and sometimes even breaks it, and the cells die, like just like EMF does, the same effect. So if you have that fat dude in the airplane, you have deuterium everywhere, which is heavier, blocking all the electron chain transport, like you're just blocking all of that, bam, the cell ends up dying. Okay, so let's get into how this measurement works. Like, how do we measure deuterium? So PM means parts per million. So for example, out of 1 million hydrogen, you will have 155 deuterium. Let's say the 155 pm is the water. It's going to be out of 1 million hydrogen, 155 is deuterium. And this is high, okay? This is high. So deuterium depleted water, it's at 20 pm. And so just like that, this deuterium depleted water, which is 20 parts per million, this is going to be such a huge tool because you will help drastically the mitochondria. It's like you going in there and giving it a handout. Hey mitochondria, here's some of the stuff that you produce and you need to have good energy efficiency. Here's some of it, man. You're just giving him that push. You're helping him out a lot. Now, if you have 130 million parts of deuterium in your body, you don't really need this. But if you live in a 5G tech world, you're around a lot of EMF, then yes, you need this. And if you have high amounts of deuterium in your body. So drink 135 million parts of deuterium water. This is very good. It's amazing because this is literally the water that your mitochondria produces. It's around this 135. So if you drink this, it's great. Okay, and here's a more in-depth deuterium intake formula that you can use to calculate your situation and how much should you be drinking and the quantities you should be drinking. So if you're in a very severe state, like with that disease disease and everything, then yes, you should really take into account these and calculate for your own specific situation. If you also struggle with acne, brain fog, yes, this will help you a lot. So just like that, here's a more general framework on how to prepare this deuterium depleted water. So you want to pick your natural spring water. Okay, just have some good high quality spring water that is local, and then add your deuterium depleted water. One third of your deuterium depleted water is going to be out of the total one third, and so you just mix it. Okay, you don't want to drink the entire deuterium depleted water in one way, in one go. No, you want to mix one third into the normal spring water. And so most people should be drinking around 130, 120 because this is what your mitochondria makes. And if you don't feel differences drinking this, then you were probably fine in terms of your deuterium levels, your environment was good, you didn't really need it. But it's always good to try because this is not going to harm you. It can only help you. And if you have the disease disease, man, you're really in a really bad situation or you're an older person, you should be adding and drinking around 80 to 90 deuterium depleted water. That's your goal. Okay, so how does food correlate with deuterium? Because it's important to talk about this. So food in general follows the hydrogen cycle of the environment. So just like that, if the water on the rain is 140 deuterium, it has 140 parts per million of deuterium, then the tomatoes that grow with that rain, or you water them with that same water, the tomatoes are also going to be 140. Okay, it's as simple. And so we can assume that the deuterium in food in Sweden, like up there, it's going to be a lot lower in deuterium than in the tropics. And this is why you gotta eat locally, man. This is why you must eat locally. If you're in Sweden eating fruits from the tropics, you're gonna be screwed. And it's not just fruits, because even meat, the protein, the muscle meat, this is gonna be it is going to have deuterium because the cow is eating the food that has deuterium. It's going to be converted into the cow. Now, fat is a different story because fat is deuterium depleted, and this is why it wins carbs. Like people debate on carbs over meat, on fat. No, fat always wins because it is deuterium depleted. So if you don't have access to local food, if you're eating fat, you won't have these deuterium issues because the fat is deuterium depleted. But if you're eating meat from Brazil in Sweden, now this can be a problem because the meat in Brazil is going to be higher in deuterium than the meat normally in Sweden. And so And also, you might think, oh, I just gotta cook the meat and the deuterium goes away. Like, when I cook my steak, it reduces the water that's in there. Doesn't work like that. Cooking the meat does not significantly reduce the deuterium content. And so this is why people do great when they stick with a fat diet, with a high fat diet and low carbs, because the body filters deuterium during the breakdowns of fat. Therefore, the water produced metabolically is deuterium depleted water. You see how that goes, man? So fat is not going to have that issue, but still, even fat in Sweden will be lower in deuterium, like normal general rule. And here's in terms of food, like grains, they are higher in deuterium because of carbohydrate content, because of carbs. While grass fed, grass salads are deuterium depleted because of the photosynthesis of the plants, and therefore it has no deuterium. And so, just like that, cows that eat grass fed, they will be low deuterium. A cow that eats low deuterium and eats low deuterium is gonna be low deuterium. A cow that eats glucose, grains, is gonna be higher in deuterium. And the same thing with humans. If you're eating a cow high in deuterium, it's gonna convert into you. If you're eating grains which are high in deuterium, it's gonna happen the same with you, man. It's a simple process. And so carbs plus protein follow hydrology cycle. If water in the environment is 140, they will also be. So fruit is higher in deuterium, keep that in mind. So as I said, coconut water in Germany makes absolute no sense. And you see all these Lux Maxers like, oh, I got a deep bloat, coconut water, man. And they're in Germany drinking coconut water, completely clueless that they're wrecking their mitochondria. It doesn't make sense. You are in the Arctic and you're eating bananas also. Like, I live in Portugal. There's no bananas in here, but my mom somehow has bananas in the kitchen, because you get it from the supermarket. But guess what? The supermarket is not something natural. You would not have that in nature. So the sun helps depleted deuterium, helps deplete deuterium by sweating and creating metabolic water to support mitochondrial function despite deuterium. So why you have fruit in sunny countries and seasons? So, the environment is completely God has created the world in such beautiful way, man. Because everything makes sense. You are close to the equator, you have access to fruits. Oh, the fruits are high in deuterium. But guess what? You have the sun to help you get rid of the deuterium and produce metabolic water that is deuterium depleted despite eating the, high deuterium fruits. So it all balances it out, man. The issue is when we add artificial stuff that wasn't meant to be there, and therefore it makes everything go off. That's how it works. And so if you live in Sweden, you gotta eat locally. And what is eating locally, for example, in Sweden? It's gonna be meat. Okay, so in a primitive state in Sweden, what would we eat? Meat, then fish, then some berries, maybe some mushrooms that could be available. Then you could preserve some food, some meat, some eggs, some a little bit of some roots or something, and then water. That's it. There is no rice in here. There is no pasta. There is no fruits like bananas, coconut water. None of that is here. So if you live in Sweden and you're eating those foods, you can expect yourself to get wrecked, man. It's that simple. So it's very important that you eat locally due to this deuterium factor. If you have high amounts of deuterium, remember the fat guy is gonna clog the goddamn airplane and everything is gonna get screwed up and people are gonna die in there because they can't leave the goddamn airplane. That's exactly what happens in your mitochondria due to the hydrogen, deuterium being more heavier than the hydrogen. So just like that, man, we covered everything needed for the Deuterium. See you in the next module. We'll cover more in-depth actionable steps to have the best water possible to thrive, man. Let's talk about making or finding great water so you can have the best mitochondrial function as possible. And therefore, you don't have issues with your skin, brain fog, acid reflux, none of that. Okay, so we need to understand what is great water. So great water is going to come down to optimized for electron density. The more electrons, the better. And so water in nature is great at this because it is grounded, there's no pollution, it has no artificial light, no, it's under the sun getting UV light, it is cold, and just like that, it's charged up with negative charge, so full of electrons. And so this is why spring water is always going to win against reverse osmosis. Because reverse osmosis is just dead water coming from your sink. It got no UV, it is not cold, it's not grounded. And just like that, it also has no minerals because of the reverse osmosis. And just like that, it's just plain dead water. Okay, there's not going to be many electrons in there as we wanted. And so just like that, let's go through how to actually create the best water, how to find it, even if you are in a city where you're forced to use reverse osmosis. So you need to understand good water involves these three factors. It involves structure, bacteria, and minerals. Okay? And so with this in mind, some good waters that you can use and drink are Pellegrino, Vichy Catalan, and these are some really good waters, but if you can find some local spring water, that will do the job. Okay, if it's local and it's spring water, that's good. So you then can experiment with potassium, sodium, magnesium, and experiment with these electrolytes to see what is the optimal blend for you. Because it's going to be different for each person depending on what are your deficiencies or what you have in excess, depends. And then you want to drink in a glass or PBA free bottles. You don't want microplastics, of course. And then, should I drink alkaline water or low pH? What do I do? So easy is alkaline, like easy water in your body is alkaline. So you naturally want to drink alkaline water. So if you have the choice between alkaline or not alkaline, you go for the alkaline. But this is assuming that the pollution and the deuterium are the same in each water. So the alkaline factor is not such a big deal. Yes, if you can go for the alkaline water, go for that, but it's not going to be such a big deal. It's more important the factors of pollution like heavy metals in the water, microplastics, and the deuterium levels. That's more important. Okay, so these are some good water choices, and you need to drink water according to the environment. Okay, so if you live in a city, go to spring.org and find some good spring water. You know, if you drink water according to your environment, you're gonna drink naturally water with the deuterium that you should be drinking. If you live in Sweden, if you drink, spring water that is natural there, it's gonna be lower in deuterium, which is what you should be drinking in your environment. And so if you have a reverse osmosis, you should be adding some sodium and some electrolytes in your water to add minerals. As I mentioned, a good factor to great water is minerals. So you need to add that in because with the reverse osmosis, that's not going to be there. And so you should be adding sodium to taste. You should not be, I'm gonna add 20 grams or something. No, just add in the water until it feels good. If it feels like it's too much water, then remove salt. If it feels like it's not a lot, then you can add more. The goal with adding salt and sodium is simply to mimic the natural water because water has sodium in it, but it's not like visible, it's just in there. And you are adding sodium to kind of mimic that. You should not be overdoing, right? So, salt to taste, and only use sea salt, only full of minerals. So, no rock salt or refined salt. Refined salt is that one that looks like sugar. It's sodium chloride. It's just, it's the one you find at most restaurants where it's like table salt. That's not good. Here are some good salts that you can use. You have Floridacell, Malden, Antarctica salt, probably the best one. You have Urtetran, Atlantic sea salt, and you have Celtic, which has been shown to be high in heavy metals. So be careful with that one. If you have a heavy metal problem, you should not be going for this one. And now let's talk about bacteria, which is another factor to great water, bacteria. And so, for example, raw milk, kefir, and Vili, which is this yogurt thing which has some great bacteria in it, is not talked about a lot online. You don't see this, but this is some. It's similar to kefir. It's just some other bacteria that you add in milk, and it turns into yogurt in like 1 to 2 days. So just like that, this is the perfect blend in terms of the bacteria. You know, you have the structure with the raw milk, you have the minerals, and you have bacteria. So just like that, this is gonna be a great hydration source if you don't have issues with dairy. Okay, if you have acne, you should not be doing raw milk. Like you should not. Oh, but raw milk makes me taller, all this stuff. No, if you're having issues, don't drink it. Simple as that. Because if you're with getting acne, that shows your gut is messed up, that the inflammation is high. You drinking that and you get more acne, you think, oh, it's detoxing me. No, it's not. It's causing you more issues. So you should not be doing it. And of course, you should be always doing A2 raw dairy, so raw milk from A2 cows, goats, not pasture-raised, grass-fed cows, of course. Always high quality. And so just like that, with these, you have the greatest hydration because you have the structure, minerals, and bacteria. You know, you can do raw milk with kefir. You can also do villi in it, which is another bacteria. And so just like that, all you have to be cautious with this is if it comes from an unhealthy animal that has food with agrochemicals, is always eating nonsense, the chemicals are going to be detoxed through the milk. And so just like that, and they're also going to be high in deuterium, the milk, because it's going to be used as a detoxification process. So just like that, if you're drinking the milk, all that garbage is going to be into you. You know, the chemicals and the deuterium levels. So be careful. The next step to add bacteria in your water, and I understand this can be a bit disgusting, but it's worth to mention, which is spitting in your water. And you might think it's gross, which I guess kind of is, but you're literally adding in your own bacteria, which you are gonna swallow anyway. And by spitting in that water, it's like it's fermenting. It's kind of like when you add some kefir into the raw milk or some vili. You're adding bacteria to this, which are gonna multiply and like it's gonna be better for your gut because it's healthy bacteria. The same thing is with your spit. If you have healthy bacteria in your mouth, which you most likely do because it's your own body, you know, your own body controls that. Therefore, if you spit in the water, it's not gonna be an issue. Okay, so the only factor with this is that it can be a bit disgusting. And I've heard people who ferment raw milk in spit too. They spit in the raw milk and it ferments with their own bacteria. So that can also be done. Now, here is some other bacterias that you can add if you don't want to spit in your water or you can't drink A2 dairy, you have issues with acne. So you can do sauerkraut juice, which is fermented vegetables juice. Very good. And then you can also do water kefir. So this is kefir that you add in the. It's not the same as the kefir you add in the raw milk. This one is specifically for water. So these bacteria grow in the water. Or you can also drink kombucha, which is a really great drink that you can find in supermarkets also, which is made out of fruits and it has this thing called Scooby, which is a bacteria that is in here, like eating the sugar. And so therefore you're drinking these kind of like lemonade or strawberry juice, which has no sugar, which is great because you don't want sugar in your food, of course. So just like that, this is also a good way for healthy bacteria in your, hydration. Now let's talk about structuring the water. Here are some good ways to structure the water. If you're drinking reverse osmosis, you need to be doing this. You need to vortex the water. You can buy one of these things right here, which vortex it for you. And you can also put the water next to your heart and speak good things to it. I know that's weird, but that's something that Masuro Emoto studied a lot, which is the structure of water reflects like emotions, man. Water can store emotions. That's why when you think of a certain memory, you can remember the feeling of being in there because the water in your body stores it, can store emotions. And so just like that, these are images of like you speaking to the water, and you, for example, say I love you or peace, or you insult it like you fool. And just like that, you then froze the water and you look into a microscope and you see the structure of it. Look at the difference in a I love you, in your fool, you fool me. Just like that, the water can feel the frequency, and it really has the structure of it. Like this is insane, man. So just like that, you can try this. Okay, you can speak into it and put it next to your heart, because your heart is gonna be projecting those frequencies. And if you want to know more in depth, you can study Masuro Emoto. And you can also do this with your raw milk. It also works. Now, how to drink water? This is a big mistake people do. They just think, oh, I need to drink eight cups of water a day. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You need to drink the water which your body tells you to drink. Your body is gonna tell you, man. It's gonna warn you. And so if you just pick up a bottle of water and you start chugging, you're gonna be overdoing. You're not letting your body tell you, okay, I've got enough, stop, stop. No, you're not. And so just like that, you're gonna drink more than your body needs, and then it's gonna send to the kidneys and you're gonna pee it. That's why if you drink a lot of water before you go to bed, you're gonna, wake up in the middle of the night. So what you want to do instead is sip the water slowly, just small little sips, until you just don't want to drink more. You'll find that you'll drink a lot less water than if you're just chugging. Like you find if you do these things, if you drink correctly, you're gonna drink so much less water than you should, than you would, man. So when to drink it? When to drink water? When you feel the need, when you crave it. It's that simple. And hydration with fruits. Should I be drinking coconut water, stuff like that? If you live in the tropics, in countries where it's local, coconuts, then yes, you can drink. If you're training a lot, like Mai Tai in Thailand, yes, go drink some coconut water because you're in the environment which promotes that, which you have the capability to get rid of the deuterium through the sun. And so just like that, you can drink some coconut. Of course, you don't overdo it because it's gonna be high in deuterium. It has 156 parts per million. Your goal is to have 130, is to drink uh, water and have hydration through this, 130. So 156 is a lot. But if it's occasionally and you're in the right environment, it's not going to be a big issue. Now, if you're in Sweden, should you be drinking this? Of course not. And so that's why the rule of thumb is to really only eat the fruit and drink the fruit which you can pick up. So if you have a avocado tree next to you, you can eat some avocados. If you have oranges in the winter in your country, like in Portugal, yes, you can eat some oranges. Now, if you live in some other country which doesn't, no, you should not be eating them. That's simple. And also, if you're the one picking up the fruit, you know if it has pesticides and all that nonsense. Now, here are some things that dehydrate you. It's important to talk about that because a lot of the times it's about what you do not do than what you do. It's more important than. So, things that dehydrate you: EMF and pollution. Here's an explanation on how EMF, messes you up and dehydrates you. Because it reduces your cytochrome C in the electron transport chain. And just like that, it's here proven that it causes you effects in here. And if there's effects in here, you will not produce the right water. Okay? So just like that, if you want to go more in depth on why, you read this. Then how can I energize the water? Okay, get some infrared light and put the water in the sun or red light therapy. That's what you do to increase the electrons in the water. And you can also drink this water that has been exposed to the red light environment, the infrared light, or you take a shower with it. Like look at this guy right here. He's taking a shower with the infrared light hitting the water, which is then going to be observed by skin. Your skin observes everything. If the water that it's touching you is low quality, it's going to affect you. And so this increases electron density in the water. You create exclusion zone water, proved by Gerald Pollack. if you want to study him, because this theory right here, if you go to ChatGPT, it will probably tell you that you're wrong. And funny enough, I went to Gemini and I was asking him this. And guess what was his answer? He said the content was too harmful or something like that. Like he didn't answer me. He would just say, "Oh, this is off topic, can't talk about it." Just like that, he was hiding it. So just like that, you gotta study Gerald Pollock to understand why this is actually true. If you ask, ChatGPT will tell you it's not real, and so that's why I don't really trust ChatGPT. I think that asking advice for ChatGPT is a bit stupid because he will just tell you what you want to hear. Like you ask him, "Oh, I'm having acne. What should I eat?" And he will tell you, "Eat this, eat this." When he will never tell you that the issue can be coming from EMF or artificial light that's messing up your mitochondria. ChatGPT will not tell you that. That's why I don't use ChatGPT, man. I use real life coaching that of people that have achieved the results I want. Then you can also cool the water, which creates infrared gradients, builds EZ. So you put the water in the fridge, and the infrared is escaping, it's going to the sides in the water, and just like that, this creates the movement, which creates EZ. So cold water has more energy. That's the summary. Drink cold water. You should be drinking cold to medium water, like room temperature water. Never warm. Like you should not be drinking warm water, just cold or room temperature. And then vortex your water. You're fusing oxygen with the water, which is great. So just like that, a great biohacking tactic is to shine red light in cool water while you take a shower. This is gonna give you those electrons. Then, in terms of shower filters, because we need to make sure we aren't getting, tap water on our skin. Our skin absorbs everything, man. If you shower with bad water, no wonder you have dry skin. Okay, so this is a great shower filter that you can get on Amazon. Really good. And then the ultimate hack is to take cold showers and go to the sun. This will equal for you to absorb more vitamin D because when your skin is cooler, you absorb more light. This is why we love the goddamn beach, man. Everybody on earth loves the beach. Even in a country like Portugal or, upper latitude, the water is gonna be so much colder. But guess what? People still go to the beach and people love it. Average person that stays all day inside wants to go to the beach because the cold water allows them to absorb more vitamin D, which literally makes people more happy. And also, the sun hitting your eyes makes you happy too. So just like that, man, this is the ultimate hack for goddamn good, healthy mitochondria is to take cold showers and get vitamin D in. Okay, go get some sunlight. That's it, my man. These were the actionable steps for the great water hydration.